Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars, welcome to another PlayStation 4 review. Today's review is for Fire Pro Wrestling World. Now I put a poll up on YouTube to see which video game you wanted me to review next, and this was pretty much leaps and bounds ahead of the rest that I put up on there. Now this is a game that I've had for a while. It was the game I was desperate to play when it first came out, and we had to wait over 12 months on PlayStation 4 to get it. Now I've been a big fan of wrestling games for a long time. I like wrestling. I don't really watch it and follow it anymore, but I've still got a soft spot for wrestling. Mainly WWE, I'm not going to lie, and I've been playing wrestling games ever since WWE Warzone on the PlayStation 1 all them years ago, and some of the arcade ones when I was a kid growing up. So I've always loved a wrestling video game. Now, like many of us, I got a little bit stale with the WWE games over the last few years. They've been very repetitive, and I've always been one, personally, more for the simulation type side of the wrestling games. I don't always like to play the game. Sometimes I like to manage, you know, like the universe mode in the WWE games, for example. And in years gone by, the general manager mode. That was just my bag. That was exactly the sort of thing I loved. So when I learned about Fire Pro Wrestling World, I mean, it's a long running wrestling game, but it's the first one I've ever played from these guys. And when I learned about it, and I learned from videos and stuff the intricacies of this game, I was like, I need to play it. I need to play this game. It seems like the simulation that I've always wanted. So what do we get in Fire Pro Wrestling World? Well, a lot. I mean, I could literally be here for 30-40 minutes talking about this game. It's very intricate, and what I would say is, if you're one of these wrestling fans that likes the intricate details, this is going to be a wrestling game you're going to love. I mean, you obviously get you can play this online. Let's just get that out of the way. You can play, I mean, all wrestling games you can, but you can play online if you really want to. It's not my bag. I've never really played online on wrestling games, but it's there if you want it. There's an offline mode, which essentially includes matches like tournament, league matches, battle royale, mission mode, which essentially is the tutorial. It is a pretty good tutorial. It does teach you the basics of how to learn how to be a wrestler in the game and do all the moves. There is an edit mode, which is the core of this game. The edit mode is the core of this game. It's where you can create wrestlers, create stables, create brands, basically, and there's something called the FPW net, which is something that you go on to download, and you'll spend a lot of your time on this section of the game. You can go on there, it's free, and you can download all these created wrestlers from all over the world, because if you're a fan of WWE, there's no branded wrestlers in this game. They're all the licensed wrestlers mainly come from like New Japan and SWA in the game, and if you don't follow New Japan Wrestling, you won't recognise many of them. So you're going to want to go on FPW net to download these wrestlers. It's dead easy to do, very self-explanatory, but if you're not 100%, there's loads of guides and tutorials on YouTube on how to do it. It's very simple. And you can download every wrestler, and the detail here is astronomical. I mean, just look at the screen now. You've got Sheamus, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Mick Foley all on screen right now, and I downloaded all of them from this FPW net, and they don't just come down looking like that. They don't just download looking like who they should. They actually wrestle like them as well. They've got all the moves that you would expect that wrestler to have. Now, the matches themselves, for me, are the best part of this game. When you do a match on this game, whether you're playing it or you're watching it. Now, I watch a lot of the matches because I like the simulation side of it, and it actually feels like you're watching a real wrestling match. It's back and forth. You don't really know which wrestler's going to win. Sometimes one will get the upper hand and they will continue that upper hand and eventually they'll win, or they'll both keep going back and forth. You know, it'll keep changing who's got the upper hand in the match. They'll do finishing moves. They won't always kick out of finishing moves. Sometimes they will kick out of finishing moves. It's really back and forth, and it really edge of the seat stuff, and some matches can go on for 15-20 minutes. very, very good in regards to the simulation side of the game, and I just love it, and you will too if you give it a chance to do it. I would love to talk more about the intricacies of the matches, but you've got to kind of play them, stroke watch them, just to see it out. And a lot of people like enjoying watching these matches just because it feels like you're watching a real wrestling event. Yes, I know the graphics look a bit rough, but I actually think they're fabulous. I really like the way the wrestlers move. It really, really works. And just believe me, the matches are great. There's loads of variety as well of these mad matches. You've got cage death matches, barbed wire death matches, landmine death matches, gruesome fighting matches. It's brilliant, really. Now there is like a career mode in the game as well, and it's called Fighting Road, which is it's a career road, so you can create your own wrestler and set off on your career in like New Japan Wrestling. I must be honest, I haven't played an awful lot of that mode. I wasn't a big fan of it. It felt a bit bland. You know, there's no real cutscenes. It's more like clicking through text and things. There's no voice acting or anything like that. I found it a little bit bland, if I'm being honest. Now what I did do is I ended up buying, and it's DLC, is the Fire Promoter Pack. I don't remember how much I paid for it because I bought it probably last year at some point. It wasn't too expensive. It was probably about £8. And if you're a fan of the general manager mode in the WWE games, you'll want the Fire Promoter. Basically, you set up your own promotion, and then you go to town. You've got to hire wrestlers, you've got to set up events, you crossover events, sort out contracts, etc, etc. Very, very deep and in depth, and actually quite challenging, but it'll swallow up many of your hours playing the Fire Promoter, but it is DLC. You'll have to pay for it, which is the real downside to this wrestling pack, this product, is there is a lot of DLC here. I mean, there is a season pass. I had a look before I did this review. There's a season pass. It's $39.99 and you get all the DLCs with it. Some of it you might not want. There's the Stardom pack, which is like the Japan's women's promotion. You'll get that in there. You'll get other things like New Japan character packs, Fire Promoter, or things like that. So, or you can buy them individually. Some of them are, you know, £6 or £7. Some of them are £15. I personally think it's not the best thing in the sense of they've put all this DLC and you've got to buy it separately. But you can forgive it to some degree because the game is just so good. You can also import your own music using your USB on your PlayStation 4. I haven't actually tried it, but it's there. There will be some restrictions, and if you're not sure how to do that as well, import music, again, there's loads of tutorials on YouTube to teach you how to do that. So to summarize then, how do I summarize this game that is just so in depth? I think it is really hard to summarize because it is a very in-depth game. If you like simulation type wrestling games, this is definitely the one for you. The matches are superb. They're like marathons. Some of them will be over in 5 minutes. Some of them will go on for 15-20 minutes, sometimes beyond. Some of the mad match choices are just joyous. Basically, it's a great game, this one, guys. If you can forgive some of the DLC that they charge quite a lot for, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I love it. It's a fantastic wrestling game. I've put many hours into playing it, and it's a game that you could talk about over and over again for a long period of time because it is such a good in-depth game. So that is, I guess, it feels like a brief review on Fire Pro Wrestling World, even though I've been going on for nearly 9.5 minutes. There's so much to fit in here, and it's a game I think if you've never tried, you can pick it up pretty good on sales now. Definitely worth getting if you're a fan of wrestling games, and if you're worried that you can't play your favourite wrestlers, you can download them for free on the FPW net and it'll feel like you're playing a licensed game anywhere. You can even download new stadiums and things like that to make it feel like proper WWE. So that is my review for Fire Pro Wrestling World. 9 out of 10, a massively strong wrestling game and one I strongly recommend. So I hope you found this review useful. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Of course I will be back with more reviews and content on Screen Stars very soon.